Welcome back to Admiral Enright's Carnival Intoxica. Today we are doing the classic cocktail, the original, the old-fashioned. We've got some Buffalo Trace here, which we're going to use as our bourbon. You are welcome to use whatever bourbon you prefer. I always like Buffalo Trace as my go-to bourbon for an old-fashioned. We're going to make this one nice and quick and easy for you, so follow along. Start off with we've got our mixing glass, and as I said in the previous episode, if you don't have a mixing glass, a pint glass works just as well. So if you have a pint glass at home, use that as your mixing glass. We're going to start off with 1 sugar cube. Put that right in the bottom of our mixing glass there. And bitter sling, we're going to use 2 types of bitters. We're using orange bitters and Angostura bitters. Both of these are from the Angostura company. This is the Angostura orange bitters and the Angostura aromatic bitters. So, as I mentioned before, doing bitters, don't be afraid of bitters. Bitters are your friend. There's a right way and there's a wrong way to do bitters. A lot of people you'll sometimes see just doing little dashes. No, you gotta be confident and get these bitters in this drink. It's what's going to make the drink a cocktail. So we're going to do 3 dashes of our Angostura bitters. 1, 2, 3. And we're going to do 3 dashes of our orange bitters. 1, 2, 3. Notice that movement I'm using? It's an up and down movement. Each one of these movements, this punch is going to be 1 dash for you. So we have 6 dashes of bitters here now. As I mentioned before as well, bitters do not melt sugar as well as water will. Really, any alcohol does not melt the sugar cube as well as some water will. So we've got our bitters in here, we've got our sugar cube. I'm going to add a little bit of water just to get that sugar cube to dissolve a little bit. And we are going to muddle it now with our handy muddler. On the bottom of the glass, we're going to try to create a little, sort of like a bitter sugar paste, or we call it a slurry. I'm going to try to get those, all that sugar nice and dissolved, and make ourselves a little bitter syrup at the bottom of this glass. A lot of times, a lot of my good friends, including Shane down at Acacia, they like to make this drink and build it right in the glass. For me, I prefer to do it separately and then pour it over a nice big ice cube in my actual cocktail glass I'll be drinking out of. In cocktails, there's really no wrong or right way. However you like to have the drink, whatever you prefer, that's how you should have it. This is the way I've always made it, and maybe I grew a taste for it because this is the way I was taught. But it's the way I like to make it, and it's the way I make it for my guests. So we've got our bitters there on the bottom. Bitters, sugar, a little slurry, and this is what's going to be flavoring this drink. I'm going to do 2 ounces of our Buffalo Trace bourbon here. And I always use a measuring glass every time, or measuring jigger, every time I'm making cocktails. It's so important to get that balance. So we got our bourbon in there now. Bourbon, bitters, sugar, water. We have a cat for you. I know everybody's been requesting to see more of the cat, so appreciate it. It's a little bit of a show. I'm adding my ice to the mixing glass now, and I'm going to add a good portion there. I really want to get a nice amount in there so you get more of that chill going on here in the glass. And with my spoon, I'm just going to stir it. Give it a nice long stir. Again, getting that dilution of the water into the cocktail is really important. So it's going to balance this drink for you. This is why I prefer to do it in a separate mixing tin or a mixing glass. I want to get some heavy dilution. I want to get a lot of water in there. I want to get this drink to balance out really nicely. And I feel sometimes when you do it just in the glass and build it in the glass with a ice cube, the ice cube just doesn't have enough time to melt and dilute that drink the way I like to have mine done. So we got a nice little fogging up the side of the glass here, get a little frosting going. I know that that's nice and chilled, and those ingredients are all mixed together really nicely. So put that to the side. I'm going to get my service spoon here, and my apprentice is going to watch as I spoon in my big ice cube. I always like to have my old fashions over a nice big cube. Now that I've chilled it down, now that I've gotten all the dilution I want, I don't want that cube to melt as much either. That's why I use a big cube. It's going to melt a lot slower, especially if it has all this nice cold ingredients on top of it. And I'm going to have that cube for a nice long time in this drink. So I'm going to pour my cocktail right over that cube. You'll get a little bit of what's called sand, which is the residual sugar that's left over. Don't worry about it. It's nice. I like that little component in there. And last thing we're going to do is a swath of orange peel. And what we want to do is we want to use this orange peel. We're going to express the peel over the top of the glass. Gonna get those nice floral aromatic oils come down over the glass. Brings out a little new aromatic there. And then I'm going to rub the sides of the glass, never the lip, with the remainder of the orange peel. The reason I don't do the lip of the glass is these are bitter oils. I don't want the first thing that touches my customer's mouth or lips to be a bitter taste. I want them to get the fragrances and the aromatics on their fingers from touching the glass, and I want any of the flavors to be part of what is going on in the actual glass, and not some bitter notes right off from the start. So that's it. That is the old fashioned. Not a super complicated drink. I think people overthink it. It's the classic. It's the original, and that's how I've always made it, and that's how I've always enjoyed it. So that's to you. That is the old fashioned. Have a great night. Cheers. See you on the other side of the bar.